Happy Book Talk Tuesday. In honor of the week of Halloween, I thought I would share some books that you might be interested in. So, of course, everyone is always looking for scary books. That's like the most popular genre in our library besides fantasy. So, our scary horror books have a dark orange label over the spine, and they're in the fiction section of the library. It means they all have an F on the spine, and then you're going to find them by the author's last name on the shelf. Now, don't get them confused with our Spanish books that have a lighter orange label on the spine. All right, so um, scary books are pretty much always checked out. Really, they're hardly ever here. We rarely get them put from the cart onto the shelves because they get checked out as soon as somebody turns them back in. There are a few on the shelves right now. I just looked around. So I didn't feel like I needed to really talk to you about scary books because you guys love them and there's a lot of great ones. I'm branching out and I'm trying to read more scary books. I do not like to be scared, but I'm trying. But I wanted to talk to you about some books that have a lot of suspense and mystery and creepiness that don't have the orange label on the spine. So when you go into Destiny Discover to look up books, if you type in something like paranormal or suspense, you will find a lot more things than if you just type in horror. Horror also can include paranormal, but there are some paranormal books that aren't considered horror. So the Elsewhere series, this series is considered fantasy, right? Yeah, this is fantasy, um, but it's pretty creepy. It's about this family that moves into this very old house. This girl does not want to move. The house is super creepy, and she finds an old pair of glasses in the house. And when she puts them on, she finds that she can not only see into the pictures that are on the walls, she can climb into them. And on the other side of those pictures is a very scary place. And she discovers that the beings that are on the other side of that picture frame want her family out. So that's a great one. Charlie Hernandez. This is a great book with full of Latino folklore. So Charlie's abuela, his grandmother, used to tell him all these stories of folk tales and myths from her culture. And she would have Charlie draw these characters. So he just, he would draw and he thought it was a fun thing to do. Well, one day, his world is kind of turned upside down. His house burns down. His parents are missing. He's living with somebody that's just caring for him in the meantime. And while this is all happening and they're trying to find his parents, he starts growing horns. They're pretty small, but he starts growing horns. And then he starts growing feathers. And he realizes that is a monster from one of the characters his abuela used to talk to him about and that he drew growing up. And he discovers that abuela was probably not just telling him these folklore stories for fun, but she was training him for something even bigger. So that one has a lot of creepy to go with it as well. Morgan Crow, The Trials of Morgan Crow. I love this series. This is a great series. If you like, if you're a fantasy person, this is a great series. So Morrigan was born on Eventide, which is the most unlucky day to be born. And so everyone blames her for all the bad things that happen, floods and storms and heart attacks and whatever happens bad, she is blamed for it because she was born on Eventide. And to make it worse, when she turns 11, she will die. That is the curse that has been set on her. She will die when she's 11. Well, as the day is approaching, three different people approach her and tell her that if they come with her, if she comes with them, she will not die. But she has to leave the family that she knows, which is not really a great family because they all are treating her like she's already dead because she's about to die. She has a stepmom that really doesn't care about her. Her stepmom and dad have a new baby. And so, she doesn't have a whole lot to lose. So she has to decide who she's going to go with. And then once you make that decision, it may not be everything it's cracked up to be. All right, Serafina is another great series. This one doesn't have a label on it, but it probably would be either mystery or fantasy. But it's also pretty scary. There's some scary things in this. So Serafina's dad told her, like always, never go into the forest, never go out there. Um, so, of course, when parents tell kids not to do things, they tend to sometimes do those things, um, which probably was not a good idea. But she uh, teams up with, so she's kind of the rat catcher at the Biltmore Estate in Asheville, North Carolina. It's actually a real place, and the book takes place in 1899, so it makes it historical fiction a little bit. Um, and so she teams up with the estate owner's son, and they are going to try and figure out the secrets of the Biltmore, because there are some just strange things that happen that cannot be explained. So that's that one. And then this one, I just want to share it with you because when it comes to suspense, y'all, here's the thing. This one is about a tornado, and Helicity is named after a tornado. That's the one of the scientific words for a tornado. So, and her grandmother was a meteorologist. Anyway, her grandmother loved everything about the weather, and Helicity also loves everything about the weather. Well, in this book, um, there gets to a point that it is so suspenseful. Y'all, I was listening to this while I was driving to meet my book club somewhere one day, and I was not paying attention to the speed limit, and I got pulled over because I was going so fast. My heart was racing. I was so worried about the character. I did not even realize what the speed limit was, and I got pulled over, and the police officer said, did you realize you were going this fast? And I was like, oh my gosh, I did not realize that. I'm listening to this book and it's so suspenseful, and it's pretty ironic that you just pulled me over for this because I'm a librarian listening to a book and it's making me speed. And I thought it was kind of funny, but he did not think it was funny at all. And he gave me a ticket. So, anyway, don't drive while you're listening to this book because you might not notice the speed limit and you could get pulled over. Probably you shouldn't drive anyway since you don't have a driver's license, but just in case, don't drive. All right, I hope you saw something you might like. I will put other books similar to these on the Book Talk Tuesday stand in the library. So if you're just looking for something, you want something scary, you want something that's going to make your heart race, you want something that's going to have you on the edge of your seat, that's what I'm going to put in there. And then all the ones with the dark orange labels you'll find on the shelves because there's no point in putting them on the Book Talk Tuesday cart because it would be empty. All right, have a great day, and I hope you go read lots of books.